semi-fluid medium in the nucleus. The nucleus of most cells contains a substance that suspends structures inside the nuclear membrane. Just like the cytoplasm found inside a cell, the nucleus contains nucleoplasm. The nucleoplasm is a type of protoplasm that is made up mostly of water, a mixture of various molecules, and dissolved ions. It is completely enclosed within the nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope. It is a highly gelatinous, sticky liquid that supports the chromosomes and nucleoli. The main function of the nucleoplasm is to serve as a suspension substance for the organelles inside the nucleus. It also helps maintain the shape and structure of the nucleus, and plays an important role in the transportation of materials that are important to cell metabolism and function. Site where ribosomal RNA are made. The nucleus of many eukaryotic cells contains a structure called a nucleolus. As the nucleus is the brain of the cell, the nucleolus could loosely be thought of as the brain of the nucleus. The nucleolus takes up around 25% of the volume of the nucleus. Main function is to rewrite ribosomal RNA and combine it with proteins. This results in the formation of incomplete ribosome. Is the membrane that encloses the nucleus. This bilayer membrane is made of lipids, and encases the genetic material in eukaryotic cells. There are retro parts to these two layers, the inner and the outer nuclear membrane. There is a space between the membranes, which is called the perinuclear space, a double membrane that separates the nucleus from the cytoplasm. Nuclear pores are protein-based channels in the nuclear envelope. They regulate the movement of molecules from the nucleus to the cytoplasm, and vice versa, in most eukaryotic cells. The nucleus is enclosed by this nuclear membrane in order to separate it from the cytoplasm. Despite the presence of this barrier, communication still has to take place between the nucleus and the cytoplasm, so the nuclear pores serve as transportation and communication channels. Some substances, like carbohydrates, lipids, and even ribosomes are able to pass through quite easily, while RNA and some proteins must be cleared for release through signal sequences within the nucleus. Openings that permit transport of protein and ribosomal subunits that separates the nucleus from the cytoplasm. The nucleus of the eukaryotic cell contains chromatin within a semi-fluid nucleoplasm. Chromatin, which is composed of DNA, protein, and some RNA, is usually a network of fine strands. The strands condense during cell division to form chromosomes. To efficiently package DNA into a small volume to fit into the nucleus of a cell and protect the DNA structure and sequence. Two types of membranous organelles that specialize in energy conversion are the chloroplast and mitochondria. Chloroplast use solar energy to synthesize carbohydrate via photosynthesis. Mitochondria break down carbohydrate to produce ADP energy. Glucose plus oxygen equals to carbohydrate plus water plus energy. All organisms are convert from chemical energy to ADP. ADP is used for all energy requiring process in cells. Solar energy plus carbon dioxide plus water equals to glucose plus oxygen plus water. Plant, algae and cyanobacteria have this ability to do this process. Solar energy is the main source of energy for most cells. Side of photosynthesis in plants and algae. The structure of the cell is double membrane and most of the protein are made by their own. Stroma is a fluid-filled space bounded by double membranes. Stroma contains single circular DNA molecule and rhizosomes. Grana is a stacks of thylakoids. Chlorophyll can be found in the thylakoid membrane. Can be found in most eukaryotic cells including plants and algae. It is a site where cellular respiration occurs. The structure of the mitochondria is double membrane bounded. Matrix is the inner fluid-filled space. Cristae is formed by invaginations of inner membrane. Invaginations increase surface area. Mitochondria contain their own DNA. Ribosome is where the protein synthesis site is. Ribosomes are a cell structure that makes protein. Protein is needed for many cell functions such as repairing damage or directing chemical processes. Ribosomes can be found floating within the cytoplasm or attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. Ribosome use a messenger RNA. RNA is template. It is composed of two subunits which is large and small. Subunits consist of RNA and protein molecules were found in groups of polyribosomes. Several ribosomes associated with a single RNA which attach to endoplasmic reticulum. They are free in cytoplasm. Maintain cell shape and movement of cell and organelles. Provide dense web under plasma membrane. Form projection in intestinal. It is to allow a formation of pseudopods. Interact with motor molecules for movement. Act as support nuclear envelope. It forms a cell-to-cell junction which holding skin cell tightly together and it gives strengthened human hair keratin. The shape is hollow cylinder made by globular tubulin. It is controlled by microtubule organizing center. It can maintain cell shape and interact with kinesin and dynein for movement of organelle. It forms spindle apparatus. The ER functions as a manufacturing and packaging system. The endoplasmic reticulum is a network of membranes found throughout the cell and connected to the nucleus. The membranes are slightly different from cell to cell, and a cell's function determines the size and structure of the ER. For example, some cells, such as prokaryotes or red blood cells, do not have an ER of any kind. Cells that synthesize and release a lot of proteins would need a large amount of ER. Pancreas or liver for good examples of cells with large ER structures. Ribosomes are attached to the membrane of the ER, making it rough. This direct connection between the perinuclear space, which is outer membrane, nuclear membrane, and the lumen of the ER allows for the movement of molecules through both membranes. The process of protein synthesis starts when RNA moves from the nucleus to a ribosome on the surface of the rare. As the ribosome builds the amino acid chain, the chain is pushed into the cisternal space, which is the lumen of ER. When the proteins are complete, they collect and the rare pinches off a vesicle. That vesicle, a small membrane bubble, can move to the cell membrane or the Golgi apparatus. Some of the proteins will be used in the cell and some will be sent out into intracellular space. Smooth ER sphere acts as a storage organelle. It is not attached to ribosomes. It is important in the creation and storage of lipids, steroids, calcium ions. Steroids are a type of winged organic molecule used for many purposes in an organism. They are not always about building the muscle mass of a weightlifter. Cells in your body that release oils also have more SIR than most cells. They are various other function that depends on cell type. Shipping center of the cell. Collect, sorts, package and distribute materials, protein and lipids from ER. Protein from ER have tag a zip code to direct GP where to send them. Lipid and protein are modified in GP before being repackaged into secretory vesicle. Though plants don't make collagen, they have their own type of supportive extracellular structure, the cell wall. Vessel wall is a rigid covering that surrounds the cell, protecting it and giving it support and shape. The major organic molecule of the plant cell wall is cellulose, a polysaccharide composed of glucose units. Cellulose assembles into fibers called microfibrils. Most plant cell walls contain a variety of different polysaccharides and proteins. In addition to cellulose, other polysaccharides commonly found in the plant cell wall include hemicellulose and pectin, shown in the diagram above. The middle lamella, shown along the top of the diagram, is a sticky layer that helps hold the cell walls of adjacent plant cells together. There are small holes, called plasmodesmata, in the cell walls between plant cells. The cell membranes of neighboring cells are able to connect through these holes. The connections allow the transfer of nutrients, waste, and ions. Molecules can also pass through the spaces within the cell walls, avoiding the cells completely. Plants lose large amounts of water in the middle of the day or on very hot days. When the air heats up and the water vapor pressure decreases, plants lose water through the process of transpiration. The water escapes through pores on the surface of the plant called stomata. Hair-like projection that help in cell movement. Cilia in eukaryotes are much shorter than flagella. Both are membrane-bounded cylinder which is 9+2 pattern of microtubules. For example of cilia is paramecia and flagella is sperm. Small, membrane-enclosed, sac-like vesicles that form variety of types and divided by 3. Transport substances from one organelle to another. Store substances are water, pigment, toxins. Large membranous sac that have central vacuole that provides added support plant. Formed by Golgi apparatus. Act as garbage disposals. Contain hydrolytic digestive enzymes. Bring macromolecules into cell. Break down unwanted and worn out parts of cell. Enzymes lead to hydrogen peroxide. Contain enzyme derived from cytoplasmic ribosomes. Hydrogen peroxide broken into water and oxygen by enzyme catalase. The functions are metabolize fats or produce bile at the liver cells and oxidize fatty acids in germinating plant cells.